Welcome, my name is Brian Caplen, editor of The Banker. I'm here with Jane Cooper, who's the Technology and Transactions editor, and we're previewing Sibos 2014. And Jane, I mean, we've just done a special issue all ready for Sibos, and you chose the subject of cyber security and the threat of cyber attacks on banking systems as the cover story. So tell us why you think that is going to be a leading topic at Sibos.
Well, I don't know if it's the issue is that much different. It has been mentioned before in previous events, but now the threat is changing. So when we talked about cybercrime before, it's been about criminals stealing money from banks. So banks have always been thinking about that, but now we're seeing the emergence of a new threat. So,
which is what?
State-sponsored threats.
Okay,
so,
all right. And this is all the more scary, isn't it? Because, I mean, we kind of understand the idea of criminals, you know, trying to hack into a banking system to steal money.
Yeah.
But when we start talking about countries doing it, or state-sponsored cyber attacks, we're talking about closing down a country's banking system for political reasons.
Well,
really.
and payments. Imagine like you've just bought a house and you've sent money for a deposit to the solicitor, and that information, that transaction just gets deleted. Whole payment system gets shut down. All your savings accounts gets wiped out. I mean, it can cause absolute havoc.
And how seriously are banks taking this? Or perhaps it's the case that they need to take it a little bit more seriously than they are already.
Well, we haven't heard of anything majorly disastrous happening, so that would indicate they're doing something right. I mean, they're always being attacked all the time, so nothing has gone majorly wrong yet. So we would assume that their defences are pretty good. But the thing is, if it's state-sponsored, the resources these people have are unlimited, and they're very determined and persistent. So,
okay, all right. So now that's sort of technology and how it can be used for negative reasons. But clearly, technology is a very critical part of the whole Sibos event, and technology obviously has some big upsides for banks if they get it right. So we have at Sibos now this Inner Tribe Startup Challenge. And we've written about that as well, so tell us a little bit about that.
So, yeah, at the event we've got the grand finale of the finalists. So there's been in Singapore, London, New York, all the startup challenges, they've done their pitch, and they've got through to the grand final now in Boston. So it'll be 15 of these companies. It's quite interesting because this is now getting more established as a startup challenge, but in the last couple of years we've seen mushrooming of so many other startup challenges, particularly in London. There's just so many programs to accelerate these
But
companies.
the really interesting thing is why the innovation is taking place actually outside of the banks in lots of these little companies, isn't it? I mean, is that basically because the banks
can't afford to do it anymore?
Well, they can't afford to do it, or they just don't have the culture to do it?
Maybe both, but also if a bank is putting a new program together to test something, it has to work. If they're implementing something, they've got to be sure that it works for their 10 million customers, whereas with a startup thing, it's kind of expected you're going to fail. You can test it, and it's expected that it might fail. You can't really have that approach to it.
All right, so lots of exciting stuff on the technology side, and then finally on the speaker side, I mean, I gather Bill Gates is going to be there, right? Okay, which is obviously a big coup for an industry event to get a speaker as high profile as that. What's Bill Gates going to be talking about?
So he's going to be pushing the financial inclusion agenda, imagine, and he's there on behalf of his foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And they've got the Financial Services for the Poor initiative. So they take the view that technology and banking can overcome poverty by giving access to payment systems and financial inclusion with basic bank accounts.
Okay, and I think we've got someone from the foundation writing on financial inclusion for our October issue.
Roger Verrees, the director, he's doing a viewpoint for the IMF issue in October.
Okay, great. All right, well, lots to read about and lots to discuss at Sibos 2014. Make sure you get the Banker's September issue and take a look at all the issues on the agenda.